Hello.
Simon and Jazz the dog, who's making a lot of noise here. And for those of you who have no idea who we are, we're going to present ourselves, and this is a Clavier hangout, and we're going to talk about what we're doing with the education group, I think, with Marcin, who's going to introduce himself, and with Lara. Marcin, can you
Uh,
introduce yourself?
Thank you, Simon. I'm Martin, and I'm Polish, and so I'm currently in Poland. And actually, I don't think anybody's giving a damn about this broadcast apart from us. But
Exactly.
anyway,
This is practice, right, Lara?
Yes, I think it's useful anyway.
Good. This is
right.
very good practice because otherwise, when we get really professional, then
Yeah.
we'll get to sort of go on TV and talk about it. Right. So I'm going to give you all an update about things going on here because that would help you in the discussions we're going to be having about Clavier education, notably. Right. So at this end, we're now in the third week of classes with students. And I'm working with sports science students at the moment, as you know, and we're working towards a first link up with Warwick University, which is on the week of the 13th of October. And at the same time, we're also working with Marcin and Lara on linking up with education, notably, and other link ups which are going on. So with my students, I've got all my students in sports science now on Google. They all have created their profiles. They have all identified more or less their objectives. And they also have identified affinity groups which they would like to link up via. So they can be either personal or professional.
Right.
And together with the students, we have created a directory of hashtags which all can't start with clav. So that's a document which I'll share with you after. And they are all extraordinarily excited about Clavier in a way I've never seen students excited.
Okay.
They are all buzzing, which is quite surprising because I've never seen students in France buzz to such an extent that they are actually doing some work. And they are doing work in a way which is self-directed, which means that we have given them a framework within which to work, and they are then going off and they are creating their own activities. Sometimes of course, they need help, but they are doing all sorts of things which are completely unexpected. So one of the things which is completely unexpected is that some of them are starting blogging and reflecting on this activity. Now, I've never seen that happen before. And these students are being linked up to networks already having started. So that's something which has already started. And another thing which is really exciting is that they are understanding, they're beginning to understand the power of social media, and they seem to be in masses starting to buy into the idea that they're going to be not only present on Facebook, but they're going to be present on Google+, they're also going to be present on Twitter, and they're starting linking up with other connected courses through their affinity. So that's something I've never ever seen before.
Okay, great.
So the hashtag directory, something very interesting, is that we started creating some, and gradually, either in the first weeks, they started creating all sorts of crazy ones. So that was very interesting because we then sat down and said, what is Clavier? Because if Clavier is to be something which is globally acceptable for people, then Clavier cannot be about getting drunk. Because for the students, immediately there was clav, get drunk. Well, of course, in some cultures, that's not going to work at all. And so we had a negotiation about this, and then they started to begin to understand that maybe that wasn't appropriate. And it's the same with their Twitter profiles. or their Facebook profiles. They're suddenly becoming aware that this is important to them on an educational point of view and a professional point of view. Which means that I had one student, for example, his Twitter profile included words like porn addict and
It was
and other.
honest.
Well, I know he said, "Oh, it's a joke." I said, "Well, yeah,
Oh, okay.
it is a joke, but if I put you with other people who may not appreciate that, like I don't know, your mother, then that's going to be a problem for you." And he immediately started realizing that yes, this was a problem, because all their practices, which they had been doing before, suddenly they realized that this was going to be out in the open. So that's really very interesting. And another thing which is very interesting is that we're seeing a progression from day to day. That's to say, if we start the week, because we have big groups, on day one it may be a bit difficult. On day two it's much easier because they are speaking together and they are actually connecting, which means that we're doing step by step. We will spend perhaps 30 minutes with just one student. But those 30 minutes spent with explaining things to one student has a knock-on effect because we have a meaningful relationship and a meaningful connection with that one student, and that has a buzz on the other people, which means that we're looking at developing leaders or key nodes within that network, and then that moves on. Another thing which is really interesting is that the teachers I'm working with are panicking in the first instance, because they no longer can see the class of students or the classroom in the same way, because suddenly it's like a network. It is a network, which means they're quite unused to this idea, and they're quite unused to the idea that students aren't necessarily going to work in the same way as they would in the past. That's to say, teacher controlled. So I think that all those areas are very much something to look at. And coming to the CLAVIER education thing, I think that the discussion that we had the other day, which you can see because it's online, Lara, with Terry Elliott and Teresa, I think says a lot about this business of giving them space. I think the most important thing that we must do is give enough space for people to find their way. And I think that's the discussion we had with Marcin before. So I think what we need to do now is to talk that over. What are those different spaces that we're going to give them to enable them to find connection? And the last thing I'd like to say is that I'm doing a connected course, which is not really a MOOC. They don't call it a MOOC. It's a connected course at the moment, which is something which I recommend everybody to check out. And they're asking me to help them out with that, which is very interesting because then we can start connecting them up with us. So there's enormous energy there, often from people in the US and elsewhere, which we can actually harness and help us to develop as well. So that's view from my end. Marcin, view from your end?
Well, the first kind of concern for me at the moment is to start the teacher community. To launch it actually, because we plan to kick it off on the 13th, as far as I remember.
That's right.
I think we're just we need to do some work on it, and this is my most immediate concern. Once we launch it, I think it will. We start the ball rolling, and it will just things will start to happen. But until everything's good and ready, I'm a bit apprehensive about it. So
sure, that's normal.
And so that's why I just created this long overdue presentation, and I'll be really grateful if you could look at it and see whether we can actually disseminate this information about this community. And also there are a number of decisions to be made. So do you think you could look at the presentation which is in
Can you do is it possible for you to
Screen
do a
sharing.
screen share? Yeah.
Yeah, I could do that. Yeah, I could do that because it's in the Google.
It's easier to do screen
Drive.
share, Martin.
Okay, I'll just do it in a moment. Okay. Hang on, let's just a second. Right, so I just have it. Yeah. Yeah, I just share the screen. Can you actually see it?
We can, sort of flashed on and off. Hang on a
CLAVIER
minute.
teacher ed community.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, Laura?
Yes.
So, well, one thing is the name because I understand that what we have at the moment is some kind of sandbox. So we need another one, and I understand that we have to come up with a well, either a similar name or a different one, and it needs to be made public. So that's one decision to make, and somebody's has got to create it actually. The second slide, can I send a second slide? Was this a second slide? Hang on. Right. Can you see the second slide now?
Yeah.
Who we are. So a brief description, a summary of who we are, and I included a number of countries here, but I'm not really sure who's going to participate. Whether, for example, Clarissa from Brazil is going to participate, and your colleagues from the USA. I'm not sure about that.
I think Martin, my immediate reaction
Right.
is that the presentation, you know, the picnic presentation.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. I suggest that we just go with the same. We go with a picnic with the same picnic thing.
Fair enough. Well, we can change whatever we want, but we badly need some kind of introductory presentation for teachers who we are going to invite.
Yeah.
Yeah. So fine.
What I suggest is that we use the same, if you like, the same logo everywhere.
Okay.
And we use the same picnic vision everywhere, because the thing about the picnic, I think that what's really important is that we make the point that this space is a space of affinity, firstly, and it's any sort of connection which can be drawn within that space through affinity in education is something of interest. And I think that, yeah.
So we can modify it the way we want to, but perhaps this is not.
Yeah.
And the next slide is about the dates.
Yep.
So we invite people, teachers, to join the network in October and November.
Yeah. Okay. What I would say to that is that we simply say, starting in October, come and join us, something like that.
Okay, fair enough. So as I said, this is subject to discussion.
All right.
We want to.
Okay.
And so the next, we need to give people precise clues how to join it.
Yeah.
And I just at the moment I just pasted the link to our existing Google Plus community, but this will need to be changed.
Yeah.
And we could Twitter hashtags CLAVIER.
Yeah.
And maybe some others.
What I suggest perhaps is that one of the problems with CLAVIER as a hashtag is a lot of rubbish on CLAVIER.
Okay.
So it might be worth making it CLAVEDU for CLAVIER education, because firstly you don't have all the keyboards, because all the French thing is clavier, clavier, clavier. So I reckon that if we call it CLAVEDU, then we will keep away from all that rubbish.
Or CLAVIER Edu.
Well, I think you can just take out the EA. Put CLAVEDU, I reckon. We can say it's clavier, and then it's CLAVEDU, bio, clav, whatever it is.
Okay. Another decision to make, and I think this is an important one. whether we want synchronous discussions. And since this is not an option in Google Plus community, then perhaps we could have a Facebook group and organize these online synchronous discussions on Facebook. What do you think?
I would say that as we go on, I think there will be more and more different spaces to actually link up with. So I think that the first thing is to say, join Clavier in the Google Plus group.
Mm-hmm.
We just keep it there, and then that's it.
Okay, so you're suggesting that we don't start with the synchronous discussions right from the beginning, but perhaps.
I think yes, we do, but I think the first thing is we start with something very basic. I think my feeling is that everything else will follow, but I think that you have to start with something which is simplistic. And I think Google Plus, the advantage of it is that very quickly you can do what we're doing, which is a hangout. You can start multiplying those, and I think that's something that we should do. I think we should multiply hangouts.
Even that is, you'd be surprised. People have problems with.
I know.
Well, doing anything really.
I know.
With Google Plus, so yeah, so I agree with the.
Keep it simple.
What do you think?
I'll tell you. Lara, what's your opinion?
Well, basically, I agree with Martin saying that Google Hangout can be complex to handle at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Well, I can see that, for example, my students are really familiar with Facebook, and they could probably enjoy introductions and initial presentations through Facebook, I guess. Well,
then Lara, if that's the case, that's simple. What we do is the following. Because with my students, I'm starting. They're all in Google Plus, so all my students will be familiar with it, and they can mentor anybody else who arrives in it. So that's the first thing. The second thing is Facebook is absolutely no problem at all. What I suggest is that if you want to do that from your end, I'll concentrate on the Google Plus aspect. You can do, if you do the Facebook thing, then that's fine. So if each person sort of looks after one sort of space, in a first instance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then may I say something about Martin's presentation? And,
yeah.
I think we need to stick to the same logos and visual materials in order to be a kind of community in this sense. But I think that especially people who are very distant from interactive way of thinking is essential to give them a broader introduction. So instead of I think that what Martin wrote might be useful for most of them, kind of detailed description of the project might be relevant to all of them, because this means that they can also have access individually instead of being there for a general presentation held by me or other teachers. So they can actually download the presentation and have a look at that. So I think that we need to put more detailed explanations of what is going on here.
Right.
So
yes.
I'm trying to compare what the initial presentation that you gave us, Simon, was extremely good, but I think it tells something more if we include other extra further info.
So what I suggest, Lara, is the following: is that if we take the generic sort of picnic thing,
Yeah.
and then because what you're talking about is the affinity that you have in your particular culture towards your knowledge of the local teachers. Yeah. So what I suggest is that if we use the same generic thing in the knowledge that this is about affinity, so you are drawing people out from your local context through your knowledge of them. So that means that you can adapt. You put in more information
Okay,
for
so I
your
can
public.
change it. Okay,
Of course,
right.
that's exactly the point. But the main thing is the following: is to explain to them that Clavier is a project which develops through affinity, and explain that that's professional and that's personal affinity,
Right.
and it develops from them their own concerns outwards. That's to say that at the moment, what they may see is that there is a limited amount of content, if you like.
Simon, if I just can
Yeah.
butt in, because yeah, I understand what you're saying, and that's actually what it is. But I think the question is how do people arrive at this kind of understanding? Well, do they arrive at it by just informing them? And I think it's better if they actually work it out for themselves by joining and starting with something which is familiar. I have a feeling that this kind of more, I think, profound understanding of what's happening, that is that this is a community which actually facilitates connecting people and making them work together or get together, and it's a community where people look for affinities. Is something that will dawn on them once they've joined, and it will be a process, but in order for them to arrive at this kind of understanding, it's worth starting with something which they are familiar with. I'm not
Yeah,
sure
I
what
absolutely agree.
this.
That,
Mhm.
if you like, that is exactly what I'm saying. Is that if you take the issue of the picnic, you have a
Right.
group of people together, all right? If you're in a room with a group of people, they are there for a particular reason. There is an affinity between them. That's to say that they're teachers, for example, or
Right.
they're all students. So there is a sort of knowledge of that space, which means that there are a particular behavior which is going on in that space. So that's something which they understand. And I
Yeah.
think that, yeah, I think that drawing from that, I think that you can say, right, we are enabling you to meet up with other people in contexts which perhaps look like this, that's to say a classroom, but perhaps are different from your local context.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say here is that the idea of a picnic is absolutely foreign to them in the context of education.
Yes.
In education and teacher training, picnics is not what you do. Yeah, I mean, this is I think, well, at least from my experience, this is something that I mean, the idea of a picnic in this particular context is
Yeah.
absolutely foreign. It's like
Yeah.
it's a different planet.
Exactly.
So
So that I think that for me, my opinion is that it is our job to make the connection between a space where people are choosing to be together
Mhm.
and a space where they are together in a classroom, which may not be a question of choice. And I think that for me, it's very important right from the start to say ask them why are we in this space, and what is it that you would like to how can I put it? Let's speak about this space in which you are, and how would it help you in this space to connect with people in other spaces which look like this space, let's say a classroom. So we could, if you like, have another picture which is your classroom.
Yeah, I mean, well, you could have either, but
Mhm.
so my main point is to make it look like it's well, to some extent something that they know,
Mhm.
that they are used to, which is a traditional course,
Mm.
and then once they are in, because this is something they understand, most teachers understand. Professional development is through, let's say, courses taught by someone or moderated by someone, and then
Mhm.
once they're in, because they see, well, they will, I suppose, that they will understand what a course is, but once they're in, they will realize that this is not a course, really.
Mhm.
So,
This is very interesting. This is very interesting what you're saying.
so what I'm trying to say is to make sure that they are sort of not put
Okay.
off by something which is completely unfamiliar,
All right.
which
So
includes some
perhaps.
element of familiarity.
Okay.
Mhm.
But then they will discover it as they go, that this is not a traditional course.
Okay.
Mhm.
So we have to. I think that you know your context and you know how you work. You
Mhm.
know that. So I think that we have to find. I think what you're saying is. Yeah, I understand. I think it's a bit like Google. It's like Google Documents for me. In my local context, it was easy to sell
Right.
because it looked like Word or Microsoft Word.
Yeah.
So teachers, by using it, could actually discover new affordances
Yeah.
which they didn't have with Microsoft Word, which actually, by stealth, changed their practices.
Yeah.
And I think, okay, we can do it by stealth. So the question is, uh, okay, you continue because I think that you need to teach me.
Yeah. Because this kind of traditional element I had in mind would
Hmm.
take the form of more something which is structured. I mean, this organization of this discussion in 2 weeks, and then
Okay.
we could tell. Can you see the screen now?
Yes. Yes. Mm.
So this is something we discussed some time ago to come up with some kind of topics.
Mhm.
While they're in,
Hmm.
when they're in, they will discover that these discussions will lead to a number of other directions. So this is just these discussions are just springboards. So they could stay within the discussion or go somewhere else.
Hmm.
But when they see it, they will discover this familiar element. Okay, here's a topic. This is what we're going to do. I can. So they will create their own expectations. Okay, so in this community, I'll be able to talk about other about how they work, in what context they work, how many hours they do, and
Yeah.
what kind of problems they have, how they motivate learners to study, what resources they use. So possibly I can learn something from it.
Hmm.
So,
Mhm.
but obviously they can learn a lot more as
Mm.
they go and as they connect informally with people and look for consciously or not look for affinities.
I think what you're saying is wise because,
Mhm.
um, if you like, for me, it's like for everybody. We're all blind to everybody else's context.
Right.
I think that it's very interesting because with my teachers that I'm working in teams with, we have periods of they freak out and they start panicking.
Yeah.
And we had a period of like that this week. So they were panicking because they couldn't cope with. It was like it was cognitive overload
Yeah.
plus fear that the students weren't doing anything
Yeah.
and that they didn't know what to do and that they were losing their feeling of mastery over the situation. So they were panicking because they were thinking, my God, I don't know what I'm doing. The students don't seem to be doing anything, and I haven't got a clue what all this hashtagging business is.
Yeah.
So they were lost and panicking. And I think that that's true. That I think that in each context, I think that you have to draw them out gradually
Yeah.
from where they are. I think you're absolutely right. So again,
Mhm. You could give them
yeah,
something. familiar to hang on to
Yeah.
at the beginning, and then once they get the hang of it, they will continue in perhaps more in other ways. Yeah.
I think perhaps the key then is in terms of this business of affinity. You start with the issue of the teacher. Forget the student a moment, because if you take the issue of this teacher,
Hmm.
you can talk about the difficulty of that, and how isolating that can be, and perhaps it would be interesting to meet other people who experience those sort of things.
Right.
I
Yeah.
think, yeah, you're right.
Mm-mm-mm.
So,
I think
go on.
I think if you start with the classroom, I think wherever you are, I think you have to start with being transparent about the difficulties of being a teacher or being a student, or the joys of being a teacher or a student. That's to say that um, it can be a terribly isolating position if you don't feel connected, if you don't feel that people are listening to you, the difficulties that you have.
Yeah, I just remembered what Laura told me, asked me before the clavier picnic. So what are we supposed to do? Remember that, Laura, that you were
Yeah.
not sure. And I said, well, probably you'll be having, I don't know, well, you can bring your own food and have it in front of the screen. So this is exactly what I think people will make kind of feel. So what is it about? What am I supposed to do? Um,
Yeah, that's an
what
interesting
shall
what
I
you're saying.
wear? What shall picnic? Well,
Okay, start with let's start with a picture. Then let's start with a picture of teachers, which could be their picture. Let's start with them.
yeah. Well, we could have both picnic and
Yeah,
classroom.
okay.
So
Yeah, that's perhaps a good idea. Maybe we have the picture of this for teachers, and then the picture of the picnic.
yeah,
How about that?
yeah.
And
Well,
then in between, you could have the we can have the weekly sessions
yeah.
and the startup date, and at the end, you put the picnic in the end, and at the beginning you have something which is teachery,
Okay.
whatever it is for your local context. I don't know.
Well, yeah. So no problem. Whatever. But if provided we agree that we should have these weekly topics.
I
Uh,
agree with that. I agree.
Yes.
okay. Good.
Because
So
we also, I think we also need to compare data from, for example, week one, what's going on in Italy, in Poland, or
yeah,
Yeah, that'd be really interesting.
France.
yeah,
So,
that'd be great. Yeah.
That'd be really interesting.
so yeah, I agree with Martin about
Yeah.
this.
Good. We agree then. Okay.
So
Well, it's a kind of syllabus that we need to follow, or uh, I think I need to be guided by a kind of general framework.
Okay.
Because what I'm worried about is to be lost in among different sources or
People.
people as well. For example, I'm quite new with Twitter, and sometimes it's very noisy to me because I have weekly, randomly, 50 emails by students doing their own work, and then Twitter messages and Hangout messages, and at the end of the day, I feel really exhausted because I can't cope with everything. So that what I think is, well, personally speaking, is very important for me to have a sort of a framework to work in. And yes, I will be happy to share your presentation, Martin, in my group of people, because
yeah.
I think they actually need that. And of
Can I
course we
make a
can
suggestion?
also,
Can I
yes,
make a suggestion?
Yeah.
If we agree on the following, that we use the same logo and the same picnic picture
Right.
and the
yeah,
same network picture, because we can show the different, in terms for the teacher point of view, if you take the picture of the picnic,
Yeah.
the logo which says what is Clavier, and then the picture of the network development, so that they can feel they're part of something bigger than them.
Okay.
And then, so those are the three, I think those are the three things, is Clavier, what does it mean? Connected learning, the logo one. Then it's the picnic at the end. And what was the other one I said? Yeah, the network development.
Okay.
So I think
really,
in the Poland that's what we use, isn't it?
Yeah, sure. It's really interesting how well the sort of learning preferences of us. As you can see, my presentation is very poor in graphics, and it reflects the way I think. I'm very little interested in graphics, but Simon is so much into it. He's an artist. So, Simon, could you take care of this side? Because I'm
Sure.
hopeless at that.
No, Martin. That's, when you say you're
that.
hopeless, I think that's not fair. I think that what you're saying is that you have developed a particular style which corresponds to your context.
I mean, to probably my sort of learning style. Or
Well, exactly.
Like that. Yeah.
So that would be really interesting.
Cognitive style. Yeah.
Could I make the following suggestion?
Yeah.
So the following suggestion would be the following: you take the Clavier description, you take the network, and you take the picnic. All right.
Okay.
And then we'll see then what you do is, from your perspective, you add the slides which for you seem necessary, and we agree on the weekly. I'm just wondering about the question of weekly. Could we not take away the idea of weekly and simply put because the reason for that, yeah, the reason for that is the following: is that if you say week, at the moment I'm working on this connected course, and there are weeks, but in fact they're 2 weeks. That's to say that you have 6 weeks, and they are over 2 weeks each one. So that gives more space for people to actually not feel that they're completely lost behind.
Right.
So what I would say is that the first week is about how do we connect with people and start working with other people. It's how do we present ourselves, and how do we learn about other people, and what are those difficulties. And perhaps we can put in our own experiences about that. If I talk my perspective, when I have photos of the other person's context, already that helps.
Yeah.
When I have people that I recognize, so for example, Marcin introduced me to you, Laura, well, that immediately is something which helps me, because he's recommending you, and then you recommend me Massimo, etc. So it's joining up the dots one by one. And I think that that question of how do we introduce ourselves online, I think that's something which we could actually put as a module, the first module, and then we can put different examples of introductions. So we can have how to introduce yourself with a collage of photos, how to introduce yourself with a video, and we can put in examples, Marcin, from the Clavier from last year with the Polish students connecting. Yeah?
Yeah.
So examples of how do we break the ice, how do we get together with other people.
I would be in favor of connecting this task with another one.
Yeah.
Which
two?
is no, the first one with this online offline teaching activity task, because I think that teachers need to see the benefits of participating in this kind of community. So obviously, getting to know other people is one of them, but they don't know why they should actually get to know other people.
Right.
And if you actually connect, yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing because it's the kind of reaction I expect from my teachers. Saying,
That's brilliant.
why are we supposed to get to know other people?
Yeah, exactly. So if you connect this with this kind of affordance or this advantage of being in this community, that you being that you can actually learn about teaching techniques of other people, then this is something quite tangible, and it's just like a hook for people that so they see why they could see why it is worth connecting.
Interesting for them, yeah.
So I think we could do.
How are we going to do that, Marcin? Are we going to do, for example, would that be a 2-week thing?
Well, who knows? Well, how realistic is it that we collect, we invite teachers, and we start them posting from the 13th of October for a week? I think this is the key question.
I think that's too short. I think it's too short. I think you need basically you need the first you need a couple of weeks to get people moving, at least.
Can we replace the word week with stage? Or
no, stage. I don't like stage.
Step? No, it's too traditional. I don't know. Week.
Discussion 1, discussion 2, or
yeah.
Yeah. So that's.
I don't know.
We need to decide on that. So we can. It's either a theme. It's a theme.
All right, thing.
Or it could be a make.
Or task.
Make. That's very popular in the US. Make. But I'm not sure that actually translates into other cultures.
Make one.
Never heard.
What verb do you want, Laura?
Sorry?
What verb do you want?
Create. No. Well.
No, that's scary.
No, I think that what you said is a theme or topic
theme
might be okay.
They know themes. They know themes. In their books, they have lots of themes. We could use a sort of a typical English language sort of book, and we use the same sort of thing. Themes. Getting to know you. How about that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Themes.
But I would. I agree that perhaps for the first theme we could have 2 weeks, but having a single week for the other ones. Why? Because if we actually extend it over each theme over to 2 week period, then we're going to end up near Christmas. It's difficult. Because probably the interest will be waning. More interested in shopping and Christmas preparations and Christmas break.
Quite right.
I mean, something fairly quick, but sort of full of meat.
You think it should be intensive instead?
Yeah, and people will be free to go back to discussions, no problem. They won't disappear.
No, I agree, absolutely.
Okay.
Because that's the other thing, Marcin. When you say starting, I think that we need perhaps something to start it. That's to say that one thing which is very, very difficult, and I think that this is an example, is what Laura is saying. Why should we connect to anybody?
Yeah.
So maybe if we were to plan a hangout. With each theme, and talking about how did we, we're talking about something each time, because I think that video is, I find, is really it helps people to get to know others, and seeing other people connect, I think, is something which is really it's meaningful, particularly if I know that person.
Yeah.
So you mean videos showing their faces?
No, not necessarily. It could be, but if, for example, if in week 1 we introduce ourselves, that's to say that you, Marcin, I introduce ourselves, and the people who can't be there, Lena and Marita, for example, they could introduce themselves. So with each node, that's to say, Molly's, Krakow, etc. Either we do it together, if we can. So we could do it. We could do this like next week. Yeah.
Right.
We could say we're going to do a hangout, and we're going to present ourselves very quickly and talk about where we are and what we're doing.
I think it would be more practical to do individual presentations, because if we are going to, it might be difficult to find time
All right.
for us together. So I think it'll be more flexible to have individual presentations.
Okay. Another thing which is possible is that, because this is integrated into my classes, I could get a bunch of students in education to talk about it as well with me. We could talk about it, introducing the theme 1.
Right. So what needs to be done is to work on this presentation, add the graphics and any other information that we need to include here about the CLAVIER. Another thing is to set up this the target, kind of the final community, as I understand. So,
there's no final community.
Yeah, I mean the one that in which we're going to which we're going to invite teachers.
Yep.
So who shall I do it, or would you like any of you like to do it?
To do what, Marcin?
To set up this target community, the one that to which
I'll set it up. I'll just stick in the same.
Good.
I'll stick in the same logo. You just tell me what themes you want, because that's something I'm not sure about with Google Plus. I've been sort of messing around with it. I think that once you set up your public group, it's actually quite difficult to edit the categories. So if we agree on theme 1 is introducing ourselves, or getting to know each other, or whatever it is, you tell me what the keywords are for each theme, and I just stick the different themes, so I have 6 themes. Yeah.
Yeah, getting to know one another. I think you should work on the language. Yeah, to just edit anything that sounds strange to you, Simon, in English. Getting to know one another, or getting to know you, or you.
Getting to know each other. Yeah, whatever. Well, I'll sort that out. So that's the first label is that, yeah, getting to know each other.
Yes.
So if you can put that in bold, Marcin.
Yeah, but as I said, I'd like to just bundle it with the other.
Yes, but what we do is the following: is that on the discussion categories within Google Plus, I just need the bold bit.
Okay.
Okay. Then each week, then we need well, I suggest that you do it. You introduce, if you work with Laura together, you introduce that theme. It could be with well, you decide what you're going to do. You introduce it. So you detail what that means.
Okay, good.
Yeah? So that means it could be perhaps that you do that from your perspective. We agree on what is your favorite, whatever it is. Okay? Then from my end, I can add in things for I can model activities within that space. Do you understand? So if
Yeah,
we start from your point, your positions in terms of the framework you want to give, yes, and then within that framework, I can then add other elements.
yeah, sure. So you set up the basic theme and we add the details.
Exactly.
Good. For the second theme, I suggest that unless you have something better, that people share information about the context in which they teach. I think teachers are quite interested in about the working conditions of their colleagues in other countries. So, for example, how many hours they do. Do
Can
they
I?
do the same hours?
Yeah, the second one there, your education context.
Mhm.
I suggest that we have three areas. The first one is why I teach.
Right.
The second one is what I like or what I love, and what I hate. So we can
Yeah.
have three things, and that would mean that we can then have three tags, because I already have a pile of stuff which we can introduce on why I teach, because there's a hashtag which has been running on the connected courses, and I can plug in all of that. So there's lots of photographs, there's lots of experiences which are already there, which means we have a massive content already for people to investigate different contexts. So that would be quite exciting. Yeah. So why I teach, we can then add that on Facebook, and we add that on wherever with the hashtag why I teach.
Okay.
Yeah? And then we could put another hashtag which would be something about I don't know, teacher. What I like about teaching, and we have to find something short.
Right.
And then what I hate about teaching. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Polish people like to complain a lot, so they'd be
No, they're like French people then.
so they'd be
Sorry,
really.
what do you think about teaching lover? Or, don't know, probably it's a crap. Or teaching hater? Or no, it's too strong.
So so you mean they?
The hashtag, I mean.
Teach. Could be teach. What did you say, Lara?
Well, teaching lover, teaching enthusiast.
Lover. Lover is perhaps dangerous. Maybe good in Italian context.
Yes, I know it's not a literary translation. It's something I'm a teaching enthusiast. I'm blushing up. I'm sorry. No, I meant more simply that I'm being a teacher, what I love about teaching, so it's too long as a hashtag.
Yeah, exactly. It's too long, so we need short. But
Yeah.
teacher lover is perhaps difficult.
I didn't say teachers, lovers. I said, okay.
I mean,
Okay, shut up.
No, that's good. We need
That's
to do
good.
that.
How embarrassing.
Yeah,
Oh, that's fantastic.
fantastic. Yeah.
That's going to go viral, Lara.
You know, you know that Italians are crazy in a way.
No, we don't know that. We don't know that. Do you know that, Martin?
No, nothing about it.
Well, basically, our language is a little bit too creative. Oh gosh.
Italian is too creative?
Yeah, the Italian language, I mean, is too free. Anyway, so I promise I will think about the hashtag. Okay.
Could we do one which is Italian then? Because you seem to be good with love.
Yeah.
Well, we could say
Amor.
Amore.
amore. No, it's too. I think it might be not appropriate.
Innamorati insegnati.
Actually,
I have one.
I have an idea.
Teaching. Fond of teaching. No.
I've got another one. Here's one for you. I'm not sure it's possible. Well, I think it is possible. You know, on your keyboard,
Mm-hmm.
we could have like teach with the emoticon love, like, and then teach with emoticon not like.
Yes.
How about that?
All right,
I
yeah.
think it's great. Thank you.
So can you actually add emoticons to hashtags?
Yeah, I
Don't
think so.
know.
We try.
You think so?
Well, if I know you can actually, because well, I don't know. Right, I'm going to try. Are you trying, Martin?
You have to open.
Hey, mate, I'm trying because I'm excited about this idea.
Or,
Laura's.
or we can probably put, the logo when you like a town. You put I, then the heart, and then teaching. It's also a good one.
Hey, it
Instead
works, guys. It works. It works. I just
Yeah,
proved
yeah,
it to
yeah.
you.
I can see it.
Okay. So
That's good. Let's go with that because there's not many hashtags with emoticons.
Yeah, yeah. So
okay, so it's quite new.
Sorry?
It's quite new to have a emoticon in the hashtag then.
Well, I don't know if it is. I've never seen it before. Have you seen it, Martin?
no,
No, I don't think so.
really, yeah. So we could informally we could stick. Well, the first hashtag could be informally called. We could stick by the name Teacher Lover. I love it.
Oh God, you are not telling this
I like it. I'm really.
to anybody else except the world.
Okay.
We want names, Laura. We want names.
That's gossiping, you know.
Nice.
Okay.
Okay, good. Okay, so we have teach. We have teach with a smiley and teach with whatever the opposite of smiley is.
Yeah.
Okay, so teach. Smiley.
And teach unsmiley.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
That's cool. And then the other one is why I teach.
Mm-hmm.
And I hang on a minute, Martin. You've misspelt my smiley.
Oh right, yeah. What was it? This?
Yeah. I have a nose in my smiley.
Yeah, it's this. I'm. Oh, right. That should.
That's great. Okay.
May I ask you something about the logo?
Yeah.
Do we have an official logo?
Yeah.
Something that was graphically designed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
So
you may not like it, but it was graphically designed.
It was a kind of Batman logo. I think it reminds me of.
I've just thrown orange juice down myself. You make me laugh too much. Right, yeah, I'll tell you the story of the logo. The story of the logo is that when we first started with Teresa, Clavier was Claremore and Warwick intercultural exchange something or other, I can't remember. And we needed an acronym, and I couldn't be bothered to sort of argue, and I said, yeah, that's great, all right, let's go with that. And then we needed a logo. So my colleague, Christine, who Martin we've worked with, she had some graphic design students, and so we had a competition for the best one. So that was a bit risky because we had, they weren't all marvelous. So we thought, well, we'll take the best one, and so we did it blind. That's to say, well, we didn't close our eyes, but blind peer review. So Teresa said, I like that one, and I said, I like that one, and it so happened we liked the same one.
Okay. Oh.
So it was a student designed logo.
Oh.
And they got marks for it because it was part of their assessment.
Wow, great.
Okay.
So now we're now lumbered with it, but we can change the color because there is a transparent version and there is a blue version.
Okay.
So there is an official logo, yeah. So we need to use it. However, for the
just asking.
Yeah, for the what was I going to say? Yeah, so that's something which is important. Is in terms of Clavier that we're all clear about what it means. So it's now no longer Claremore Warwick, but connected. So the acronym has an official term which we agreed on. And then in terms of the objectives, well, those you need to be aware of. So we agree. And then Terry Elliott the other day talked about a manifesto, and I think he's quite right. I think that we need a manifesto of what it means on a larger scale. But that's something that we can talk about as we go along. And we don't really have time just now because we're talking about smileys.
Yeah, so I suggest that before we finish this hangout, I suggest
on a
we
minute,
go
Martin.
through these
Why I
these
teach.
topics. Yeah.
Come back to why I teach. It's a hashtag why I teach.
Another one.
Yeah, you got 3. The first one is why I teach. Yeah, go on.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. So why I teach, love, teach, hate.
Okay.
And I can get that moving already because I'll start using that with my communities already which exist, and so that means we have some examples for the people.
Okay. The third one is how do you motivate your students your learners to students?
Could we make
Yeah. How do you motivate your students?
How do could we just say yeah, all right. We could call it learner motivation.
Well, yeah, could.
What was initially? Was the language learning? How do you...
If you call it learner motivation, because I'm thinking of another thing, Martin, here.
Yeah.
Is because they're going to be people who are not language teachers. They're also primary school teachers. Laura, you're primary school teachers, yeah?
Yeah.
We've also got sports teachers, so we need to make it wide enough so that it includes everybody.
Okay.
So learner motivation, that's cool.
Cool. Then we've got what resources do you use? Resources, course books for and against.
Yeah, well, that's good. What I would suggest that you do is that we say teacher, learner resources. How about that?
Teacher, learner resources, lover.
You're going to make me throw orange juice over me again.
Oh, I think I will make money on that.
Yeah.
It's going to be a business.
Laura, that is a really interesting how can a spin-off, because as you know, Clavier develops rhizomatically. So you're now going to be, forget teaching. This is global matchmaking. How about that?
Yes,
we already
an agency for solitary hearts in teaching. Why not?
Yeah, but that's exactly it. Sell it, because I can guarantee you that from my perspective, the students, when they are thinking about why do I want to connect with anybody anywhere else, that's one of their major motivations. And I don't think teachers may not admit it, but from what you're saying in Italy, that quite a lot of that goes on.
Yeah, because in Italian schools there are lots of teachers, of course, but they are mainly female teachers. And especially English language teachers are very rare. Male teachers are very rare. So I think they will be attracted by the fact that there are, male teachers around.
Okay.
Right, but Martin, from your perspective, does that work? Do you work on the lover scale in Poland?
Well, I'm sort of lost a little bit, but I can.
I'm sorry.
It
wasn't my intention to.
But I think
to open this discussion.
But I think I can see a lot of market potential for memes with lover, lover teacher, and in different sort of.
I just wrote a blog post about teacher pet, actually.
Excuse me.
I wrote a blog, a teacher pet. You know the teacher pet?
No.
Do you not know the term? You don't know the term teacher's pet?
Teacher's pet? No.
Yes.
Pet. Look. No. What does it mean?
Favorite right. Well, I have to. Yes, exactly. Favorite student. Do you not have that in your context? The teacher's pet?
Yeah. Well, yes.
What do you call them in Poland then?
Popular. That's in Polish would be something like pupil, but it's actually popul, which is favorites. Yeah, actually,
in pupillo. We have this
the
in
same word.
pupillo.
Pupillo.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
What do you have?
It comes from pupil, you know.
Yeah. It comes from. I think in Polish it can be translated into English as pet. Right.
It can be translated as pet.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what is it literally? Literally, what is a teacher's pet in Poland literally?
Literally, it's pupil, which can mean a pet animal, like an animal you like and you keep at home.
Yeah, but what does it mean literally?
Literally,
You mean
somebody you like very much.
Okay. And in Italian?
the same, basically.
Probably
As,
we have the word from Italy, Italian. Sorry, we probably we incorporated the words from.
It's pupillo is a word, and I think it has I can't say etymology. How do you say that?
Etymology, that's very good. It sounds like Italian.
It's it's pupillos comes from the idea of being pure and sincere and
So it's irony then.
yeah. No, I think it's just taking care of someone, giving him or her particular teaching attention, and yes, it's the same meaning that Martin said.
All right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So next is learner teacher resources. How about that?
Learner teacher resources. I'm not sure
materials, or
Well, no. So theme four is resources. Let's just call it resources then.
just resources. Yes.
Yeah.
Because I think we already given the context, so.
Yeah, they know we're talking about.
Resources is enough to me.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, and we could add these subtitles like course books for renegades and perhaps something else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, whatever. Okay, next one.
Language teaching technology, digital versus traditional resources. That was my idea, but
yes,
that's part of this theme 4, isn't it?
Yeah, that would be. But I'm not sure how many teachers would mention technology within the general topic of resources.
Okay, perhaps you just call it technology. How about that?
Technology, okay. Yeah.
Mm.
Okay.
Maybe we could. I suggest that we could actually keep the extension digital versus traditional because.
What's traditional?
Well, there are lots of traditional technologies, pen and paper, blackboards, and
Okay, all right.
stuff. So it could lead to a discussion. Yeah.
All right.
Oh yeah, that's an interesting question. Has this become traditional technology? Yeah, that's a very good point. Has PowerPoint become traditional technology?
Depends on your context.
Yeah.
Yeah, it depends on context. Yeah.
Well, I think yes. The way it is used today is not very far from paper.
I've got a suggestion. Why don't we say traditional innovative? How about
that? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because then that sort of, it depends on your context, because it may be innovative to use paper.
Really? Oh well.
Yeah. Because if you have an obsession with digital technology,
okay,
suddenly using a piece of paper and a glue is viewed as innovative.
Right, might be, yeah.
No, seriously. I'm going back a lot to this idea that this obsession with digital is often unhealthy.
Yeah.
It hurts your eyes. Yeah, I like that idea. Traditional and innovative technology, and that is completely dependent on your context.
Traditional lover versus innovative lover.
Martin, I think you're getting carried away.
But you like the wordplay. You like that, I know.
Yeah, I just can't get it out of my mind. So.
Don't forget, this is for a global audience, Martin.
What a shame. Please
Right, okay.
delete it.
No way, Lara. You agreed. This is now going viral. Right, next.
Oh God.
Mobile technologies. That's.
Yeah.
Okay, so you are making a distinction between digital and mobile technologies there.
That's a really interesting one, actually.
Yeah, I mean, just this. Well,
Actually, Martin, that's a very interesting one because I've been showing my students and teachers, the video we made with you and a group in Clermont-Ferrand of teaching from a supermarket.
Yeah, right.
That they loved. They loved that.
They did? Well, there's nothing to it. I mean.
Yes, there is. It's the idea that you're teaching and you're doing your shopping.
Oh. Yeah.
Because we hit a checkout. It was fantastic. You have to see this, Laura. It's Martin teaching a group of university researchers English, and all you can hear from time to time is beep 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 beep, because the students say he's now paying for his shopping.
Yeah, well, it's authentic, so that's why they like it.
Yeah. But I think that's another thing about Clavier is this is an authentic discussion. We haven't. That's fantastic, right? I'll shut up. Mobile, I like that.
And then I can imagine Martin, speaking in a very formal English, while in the background, students could hear the cashing.
What about?
That's what happened.
Yeah, I like the idea of mobility, however, because that also connects to this idea that you're going to travel.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
Can we have mobility?
But wouldn't that be to concealing things?
Yes, exactly. So I think by the time we get to theme 6, we can conceal a little. No?
Well, I mean, as long as we.
What about technology and mobility?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because the idea of technology mobility, the whole business of traveling, the interest of this comes back to Laura and her lover. It's if you meet people online, then it's really interesting to actually move. And also, if you have these mobile technology, it's very interesting to actually move from the space, and you're not stuck to the space.
Yeah, so that's one of the sub-themes. Another would be something I think of immediate interest to teachers. How do they allow students to use mobile phones and mobile devices in their classrooms? What are the benefits and what are the challenges related to that?
Yeah, I think that's really good.
How do they restrict it? Do they restrict it? Because there's a lot of apprehension related to
absolutely
teachers.
Yeah.
I mean,
absolutely,
because this will disrupt. This is exactly disruptive technology in this literal sense, both metaphorical and literal sense.
Yeah. And that's really good, because then if we use the slide, I'm not sure if we use the slide with the, in the Clavier presentation, there is that slide which is an overlay with the mobile technology. I'm not sure, I think it, I don't know. I think if I give you a couple of slides, you delete the ones you don't want to use.
Okay.
Yeah? And then I work out, if you give me your slides, it's just a question of having the same graphics, that's all.
Okay. Right, so we've got the themes. So Simon, can you add these graphics to this presentation?
Yeah, all right. So what I will do is I'm going to sort out the graphics of this presentation. I'll give you the template for it. And then I'll set up the teacher ed community.
Right.
So
Laura, can you set up a Facebook group for this community? But we need the same name as the Google Plus community.
So if we call it, we could call it Clav Edu. I don't know. Should we call it Clav Edu?
Yeah.
Clavier Teacher Ed Community, and then we use Clav Edu to talk about clavier teaching.
So the name is
Clav Edu.
Clav Edu. Okay.
Yeah, change it in the.
Yeah.
I'll just
all
change
right.
it in
And the other thing is the logo. I'm not sure about on Facebook. On Facebook,
you could have the logo on Facebook, couldn't you?
I'm not sure if we can put it on Facebook. We can. Well, we can sort that.
Yeah, because you can change the image of the profile.
Yeah, the banner.
All right. So what I suggest we do is we use the same image. You know the one on the teacher education one we have at the moment.
Right.
Circles thing. So you got Angry Birds and you got crap like that.
Let me check.
Right, that one.
Yeah, the one. Yeah.
No.
With F and something.
Are you happy with that?
Why not? Yeah.
I can't find it now, but I will.
Yeah, all right.
Okay.
So it's basically we can say that all communities have that sort of circles thing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So because that's what I've been doing, because I've set up the one for, as you know, Lara, I've got the Clav business one. So we have the Clav Ed, and then we have the Clav. What else was there? Med. Health. Yeah. So Clav Edu, Clav Med, Clav Bus.
Okay. But do we need just one Facebook account for that? No, one for each group.
I suggest we have one group for education.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is going to be a group, right? Shall we make a closed group or
no?
No.
In my opinion, no.
Okay.
if the students want to make their own closed groups, that's their problem.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Fine.
I mean students. I mean if the participants, because they can be teachers or students.
Okay. So Laura, so can you sort it out? The Facebook.
Yes. Of course.
Group. Great. And we added to the community.
Mm-hmm.
Right, great. So that will be, so that's sorted. And if possible, I'd like to disseminate this presentation to teachers. I know, well, who I know or collaborated with, and I'm going to invite them to this community.
Great.
So we would need to make sure that this Google Plus community and the Facebook groups are public and anyone can join.
Yeah. So I'll do that.
Mm-hmm.
I'll try and do that. Try and do that this afternoon.
Okay, fantastic, great. And we could start on the 13th. So and we need perhaps before the 13th.
In fact, actually, Marcin, I'm just thinking because I can try and set that up like for next week, so my students in education are already in that space.
Great. Yeah. So I could ask them to do the same because I'm teaching these students today, and if it's up and running next week, then I'll be meeting them next Thursday. And I could invite them to this.
All right, let's do that. So basically, we've got to get it up and running this weekend. For next week, then we can invite everybody in.
Yeah,
so we got the six.
Wow.
We got the six themes. We got the logo. We got to work on the presentation before Monday.
Yeah.
And what about your? Because what I'm going to do is the following. I'm going to use Clav Edu for all publication across networks. Yes?
Yeah.
I can then pull in the stuff that's already been done with Why I Teach from the other networks.
Great.
I can then invite other people in from other networks already. And what was the other thing I was going to say? Yeah, so Lara, you've got your primary school teachers, yes?
Yeah, and also my in-service language teachers.
Right.
And
Okay.
so different ages, different ranges of experiences, but
Okay. So you
I have a
basically
group.
all of them you bring in.
Yes.
Okay. So one of the questions I have about, I think we need to have another meeting. If you've got a moment after this discussion to go into detail about what you're doing with those people. Yeah. Because I know,
Okay.
do you have more time today?
Yeah, I'm at home, so I'm okay.
Okay. And Marcin, have you had contact with Gilmore and Christine?
Not yet. So I'll email them or contact them today.
Okay. All right.
I haven't started. Yeah, well, we've got time. I'll get in touch with them. I'm starting my classes today, so and tomorrow. So
good luck.
Thank you.
Right. Okay. Good. So Lena is coming with her crowd on the 30th of October, I think. So they're going to work with us.
So they will catch up with.
Yeah, there's no problem with them. Chris and David, I haven't got any more information about what's going on. Have you got any more information?
I think they are in South America, so.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll wait for them to turn up.
Yeah.
And yeah, Marita, we're setting up a primary group for teenagers.
Oh right. Yeah.
So that, again, can be an interesting thing for your teachers to actually participate with that. So it's like a field trip for teachers. Yeah? So they can come in and Thomas Savino, it's possible that he has some kids who can join up with that. And also my American friends, also, they are interested in joining their teenagers up. So that means we have a teenage group going on. Right. Okay. So Massimo, have you had any news from Massimo, Lara?
I think he's working with. I'm sorry, I can't remember his name now, but he connected with him, and they are currently working on the same task.
Okay.
So I think it's Tom. Can be.
Tom?
Yes.
He's working with Paul in Japan.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's probably is working with him. And
that's news to me. I thought he was working with me.
Well, I don't know. I think it's we talk and we agree on the fact that we need to identify a mutual task.
All right. Okay.
So I think it's waiting our decisions at the moment.
All right.
Okay.
So we'll talk about Clav Bus after. I suggest that on Clav Edu, are we clear on that now? So before next weekend, we're going to do the presentation. I put in 3 slides. I sort out the graphics, and you give me your slide. You put in the slides, and then we'll do a sort of research project of why you chose whatever slides for your group. Yeah.
Okay. May I say something about the name? Can we put capital letters C and E? I mean, just to distinguish about, Clav and Edu.
Okay.
What I suggest is we put clavier, okay, and then we put hashtag Clav Edu, and perhaps if you want to have a capital E, then we have a capital E in the hashtag. Yeah. How about that?
Fine with me.
Yeah. Is that okay, Lara?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Right. So what I suggest, guys, is if Marcin, are you okay with that now?
Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah.
Right. So what I suggest is that we stop this particular hangout, and then I'll have a more chat with Laura if you're okay.
Yeah. Okay. Simon, in the meantime, perhaps if possible, this week or early next week, could you let me know about this physical exchange that we discussed the other day?
Okay, we can talk about that. I'm free tomorrow morning if you're free.
Tomorrow morning, can't do it. I've got classes, but maybe I can squeeze in a short. I will tweet you.
Okay.
Tweet you about it. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
So
okay.
the physical exchange we need to.
Hello?
So yeah. Hello.
Yeah. So anyway, maybe I can squeeze in a short hangout between classes. I'll let you know tomorrow if that's fine.
Fine. Okay.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Bye,
Thanks
Martin.
very much, Martin.
And Simon.
That's been a really interesting discussion.
Yeah, and fruitful.
I'm very glad that we made it live, particularly for Lara's contribution. That was fantastic, Lara. Thank you very much. Ciao.
Bye. 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 Ciao. Ciao.
Salut. Right, I'm coming to speak to you in a moment, Laura.
Okay.